James. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome back to another Lost the Plot video. We, first of all, thank you for anyone that has watched the previous 3 videos that we've put out. It's far more views than we ever anticipated, so we want to thank you on that. Before I get into introducing the video, a couple of things I want to say. We are addressing the audio. We will get there in time, but there's no rush because we still have other things that we do in our lives. So this is going to have to do from now on. We've also addressed the framing, so Tom and Matt should be closer in, and you can see their beautiful faces and arm definition as well in the camera. So,
I'm being modest.
once he takes his top off, it's a sight to behold. Right, today's video we are looking at Batman, and I say we're looking at Batman. This is more a video hyping up the new Batman film that's coming out in March. This is going to be a shorter video because we understand an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and 49 minutes is quite hard to sit through. We do appreciate that. So we are trying to release shorter videos for you guys to enjoy in your spare time and make it more accessible for everyone else. But before we get into Batman and what we're hoping for the film, we'll start as we mean to go on is in every video, which is James's unpopular opinion.
So running in with the theme of the Batman,
Nice.
I thought we'd go keep it topical, you know. My favourite Batman is Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond. That's like I grew up with all that sort of thing. So to me, he is the best Batman.
It's a lot more mature than I was expecting.
I know. I tried to go in a bit more with it.
Well, you're going to get petty, but that's quite detailed.
Well, with the first 3 unpopular opinions, that's quite a calm one.
I was really nervous what you were going to say.
Yeah.
But when you said it's Batman based, I thought, oh no, this could be horrible.
Imagine if I said Ben Affleck. Ooh, people are doing.
I think he's underrated.
No, probably is, no.
He probably is, yeah. Have you not seen Ben Affleck?
Nope, I didn't want it.
Okay, so that'd have been a good. That'd have been interesting. He's not. I think he's underrated in my opinion.
I think he's a great Batman. I think it's just the films that let him down a little bit. But even I said Zack Snyder's Justice League was one of my favourite. Well, was
That's
my favourite
true.
film last year. So
Very true.
that film did him justice.
Hey.
And we're ending the video there, folks. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, a bit.
So I'm alright with that.
Yeah. It's a cracking show.
I don't
Some people
mind
have the
that.
same opinion online.
Oh yeah.
It is one of the best shows ever. I know it is, but
I don't.
just as far as Batman's go, he's my favourite Batman.
No. I thought good. Oh, up to a nice start, guys. We all not all agree, but we're all sort of okay. That's fine.
Right, there you
Brilliant.
go. Kind of nice one. You wait till the next one.
Okay. Is that a threat or
Could be.
right? So let's move on with what we're going to talk about in this video. Like I said, we are trying to make it shorter, and if we do go over our time limit, it's because we're using the oven clock that is directly behind the camera, which isn't the most reliable thing in the world. So let's talk about Batman. We're going to talk about what we're excited for and one thing we're worried about as well. And like we started with his unpopular opinion, we'll start with James again.
Oh, alright, Sam. What's something I'm looking forward to about
Yeah, what are you looking forward to about the new Batman?
well, just straight off the bat, the cast. Straight off the bat. I generally didn't even try that one. Oh, yes then, lads.
Oh, this is going to be a fun video for you people.
Plenty more than that.
Hate myself. Yeah, the cast is phenomenal. Quite frankly.
Yeah, I'm going to tag team on you on this one because I've put the cast as well.
There we go.
I mean, do you want to go through the cast?
There is Robert Pattinson
As Batman.
as Batman,
Mhm.
which I think he's just going to be fantastic.
I mean, he's a brilliant actor anyway.
He is,
I think
yeah.
he's very underrated in what he
Absolutely.
produces and what he comes out with. Zoe Kravitz, Selena Kyle.
It's perfect. You said years ago about like she would be the perfect Catwoman, didn't you? And then it actually happens.
I do not need to.
Writing for Batman.
I do not need to bring up this point. Mine was a little bit more specific, but no, carry
You
on.
can go into detail a bit.
Paul Dano, the Riddler. Incredible.
Great choice.
Great choice. I mean, obviously, I'm not sure if you guys have seen him in anything at all.
No, I've said it before. I know the name, but I can't. I literally think of anything.
Prisoners, and there was one other. But I can't
There Will Be Blood.
Yes, that was.
There will be, honestly, one of the best. Him and Daniel Day-Lewis in that are absolutely incredible. So I'm very excited for that. Colin Farrell is the Penguin. I think it's going to be absolutely
Ridiculous.
brilliant. I think it's going to be super.
Even on the announcement, because you had no idea where it was going to go.
Yeah.
You just thought, yep, I want to see this regardless of
Yeah,
whether it's terrible.
It's intrigue, isn't it? Watching it, you think, Colin Farrell's the Penguin. Okay, well, I need to see what this is going to be. Jeffrey Wright, James Gordon.
Yeah, and that was one of the roles. Like I know, I'm yet to address my excitement over Zoe Kravitz being cast, but he was the other cast member that I'd seen for ages. People wanting it desperately.
Yeah, I think he's going to be absolutely.
So seeing that was just like one of those refreshing things where it's like I hadn't seen as many people say any of the other castings, but a lot of people were giving him a lot of attention for this role. So when it actually happened, it was one of those refreshing feelings where you're just like, oh, you don't get this that often. You don't get fans getting excited about something, and whether they get listened to or whether it's just chance, and it's just that same logic coming through. It works. It's paid off.
I mean, that's more intellectual than I'm going to say. His voice is really smooth and satisfying. He's lovely to listen to. Is our Jeffrey Wright. Yeah. Only one person I'm a little bit worried about is Andy Serkis.
Of course,
yeah.
I completely forgot.
I've got whose name the book?
Alfred.
Jesus.
Come on, Ben.
Yeah, Andy Serkis is Alfred. I'm a little bit sceptical on.
It's one of those things you can't comment on until you've seen it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I can understand why you'd be sceptical because it's not your typical Alfred, and he's not his typical role either. But
No.
He does always pull it out of the bag though. To be fair, doesn't he? Like,
I don't know. He directed Venom: Let There Be Carnage. So I trusted him. Has gone a little bit downhill since then.
I did not realise it.
Acting wise, to be fair, he's normally pretty top drawer, isn't he?
I think like.
James is shell shocked.
Mate, come on.
Sorry.
Is that his first directed film?
I don't know.
Well, he should probably stop there by the sounds of things.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. We are trying to make this shorter, so let's move on, shall we? So, cast. Matt, what one thing you're looking forward to for Batman?
I think most of you are going to have this because it's the main thing that I'm looking forward to is the tone and the direction of the film.
Yes.
Pretty much
just from the trailer, you can tell that the tone just suits Batman down to a T. With how dark and gritty it looks and how dark Gotham looks, and the way he seems. I don't know what the right word is. He just seems more serious in this film than other Batman roles.
Well, when we talk about a Batman film, I think the Dark Knight trilogy has led us to believe that Batman needs to be this thriller, drama, mystery sort of, all of those genres incorporated into one. And I feel like with the trailers, what we've seen and the direction that it's going, there's going to be a lot more tension and suspense building throughout the film, especially with the Riddler being involved in it as well. So I think the tone's going to be pretty special to look at.
Do you want me to tie my second point into that because it's kind of relevant to what you just said?
Go on.
Is the tone and direction with the Riddler being the main villain. The villain's my second plus for the film because it's just I've been crying out for a proper detective Batman mystery type film, and the Riddler that we got in Jim Carrey is not the film I wanted from the Riddler.
No.
Not that I was alive when it came out, but it's the only film we've got to go off.
Even just saying Jim Carrey's Riddler, you're thinking this is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Completely ridiculous.
And I mean, you flip it on his head and say, like, now, if he was cast as certain villains, people would be interested.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas that was maybe at the point where it's just like, oh, we know what this is going to be.
Yeah. I mean, the
You
classic.
see the whole ridiculous thing that they were going for. I mean, it was supposed to be just daft.
Yeah, but it didn't pay off.
Well, no, because they completely went left field from what they were doing
Well,
before,
yeah.
didn't they?
I think the main point, like, you're so right about the direction in terms of that's the bit that seems to have been missing from just a lot of the Batman. It's all been sort of like that action hero kind of feel to it, even with something like Dark Knight that was sort of a bit more serious and leading everyone into this sort of realistic superhero film. But yeah, just the detective crime solving aspect of it just seems to be lost. Whereas that's like one of those three core aspects of what
100%.
what he
What
is.
makes him,
Yeah.
And it's just actually having riddles to solve, like as the audience looking at it, thinking, how is he going to pull this off? But and then he does it in a way that you don't think is going to happen. Is what I want from the film, because he is one of the smartest people in the world. Well, in the world that
Supposedly,
Batman creates.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it also, again, it creates that sense that Batman's not always going to win, which is what we need.
Mhm.
Because I'm fed up of watching, I don't know about anyone else, fed up watching superhero films where it just feels like that person's there to be defeated, that person's there to be defeated. Whereas this seems like Batman's going to be put through the ringer and go through all sorts of torment and torture to actually get to the
It's
outcome.
going to be,
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
and it's the whole point of having a film around a character like that is like it's going to be more about them. Like, yeah, villain's going to be fantastic by the looks of it, but the whole point is that it's going to be the Batman. Is what it's called.
Yeah.
That's what I like as well. Sort of going off on that, with it being a bit more toned down, there doesn't seem to be all the like the flashy daft gadgets and stuff. Because even with the Bale ones
Yes.
and the Nolan trilogy or whatever, even just having like the mad bat plane thing and all the massive tank sort of Batmobile, it was all a little bit over exaggerated still, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas with this, even the car's just a car with a boost thing on the back, innit?
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to be using anything other than a grapple gun thing. But just from the trailer.
Yeah. I was
And
going
like,
to say, we
even
obviously
the
don't know.
aesthetic of the suit and that looks a bit more just like it's just
Well,
armour plates.
It gives
and stuff,
it gives it room to breathe. It gives it
Yeah.
space to become whatever it needs to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I'll skim past this as quick as possible. But out of the casting, yeah, Zoe Kravitz, I've talked about it for a long time. And never expected it. I think there was a good sort of top 5 of who would be cast as Catwoman. And happy with any of them. Zoe was probably number 1. And cannot fault that. The one thing I was expecting to be brought up was the runtime. Because
Oh yeah, we touched on that in the previous video, didn't we?
the last few weeks, where it was, everyone was building up on those early reviews saying, "Oh, it's a 3-hour horror film," and everyone was getting like, obviously that was being hyped as like as a good thing, which you had no reason to think it wouldn't be. And then yeah, I think it was officially like 2 hours 55.
2 hours 55,
something
the
like
longest
that. 3
Batman
hours.
film ever released.
And I think only seeing it in a good light is the fact that, again, it's giving a story space, it's giving it room to just be what it is, not have to give it this framework for what eventually becomes some winding path that they're leading us on. It makes you see it as a film itself, so already it is just getting the excitement built, but it's making you just think, oh okay, this film is getting treated individually.
Yeah, I think with the runtime as well, although Batman, we all know Batman and we all expect to be Batman, this specific character, but I feel like the runtime is going to allow us to develop that relationship with Robert Pattinson as Batman as well.
Yeah.
Because although it is a commitment and it is harder to watch sometimes and sit through a 3-hour film, but sometimes they need to be that long in order to get the sort of relationships built with characters. Because we talked about it with the Eternals. There was no relationships built with any of the characters. That's why it fell a little bit flat. Whereas this one, I feel like there's going to be that development and build up for Robert Pattinson's Batman.
Yeah, because I mean, you bringing up that like with the Eternals, it's like they should have picked up a lot of the bad attention to it was getting bought on the runtime, saying, "Oh, it's too long." It's like that was not the problem.
No.
The problem was what happened in that
The
time.
content, yeah.
And how they use that time. So in this, it just seemed like it's almost going to ease the fact that however much they delve into that, it's not going to feel like it's not just going to feel like another origin story.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
going to feel like a story of its own.
Well, it's safe to say we're all buzzing.
It doesn't have a feel of an origin story, does it? Like,
No.
the other Batman starting films, well, other than Ben Affleck, but he was brought in as in a Superman film.
Yeah.
all have origin stories, don't they? And this one, you don't need to tell it anymore. People know, but you can have like sprinkle in it a little bit, but you don't need the.
But that's why Tom Holland's Spider-Man was so successful, because they did that. And I'm quite excited and happy that it seems like they've done this as well for Batman.
Because it's like year 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's
Well, we don't need to
He's already been in for a bit.
fanny around with all the.
Yeah.
Oh, this is where his parents
Yeah.
died. Yeah, we know that. We've been through it 3 different times already. Oh, God
Yeah.
knows how many times already, if you include Gotham in that as well, the TV series. Well, it's pretty safe to say we were buzzing. And we all did say this was our film of 2022 that we were all excited the most for. Disregard Tom.
It wasn't. Honestly, thought over things the other day, and I was talking to people about it. It was my number 3 that I was excited for this year, but they were so
For
close.
video purposes,
That
it was
was-
your number 1, thank you.
They were close.
Yeah, Tom.
We knew what position I'm going to take.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add what we're excited for this film? I feel like we've covered.
Yeah, everything's
A lot.
was in really.
Yeah.
We're all on the
Yeah.
same sort of page.
We're just excited. We're just nerds. We like Batman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, what we're going to do is, although we've talked about how excited we are for this Batman film, we're going to talk about some of the worries that we have, because I feel like it's important as someone that watches a film not to go in expecting something in particular, but also be ready for something that may happen, and just sort of go through the film in the direction you want it to go in. So we'll start with Tom. Mix it up a little bit, shake it up.
No,
What's the one thing you're sort of worried about for the Batman?
I was hoping you'd lean towards me, because as much as one of my main
Slate it now.
main worries is, I suppose, like, one way of framing it is just saying what's the big idea, is where's this gonna go, because we've just seen too many examples of something promising being on its own that then they inevitably have bigger plans for that aren't concerned with that. They're concerned with some bigger thing.
Yeah.
But I think what I want to lead more into with that, just because I think that's probably the most at odds with what you're all thinking, is coming back to what you said about the tone, really.
Yeah.
Being dark, gritty, they're the words everyone comes to, especially when you think of, you even think of Batman now. And I think it's probably is to the cause of, like, in terms of the accessibility of it, Dark Knight trilogy, people who don't even watch superhero films, that's the one they might go
Yeah,
go
cause
towards.
yeah, 'cause
They were
it's
just-
not seen
they
as
were
a
into
superhero
it,
film, is
yeah.
it? Yeah.
And that, especially even compared to what this is promising to be, this seems a lot darker, grittier, any of those sort of like ways you want to describe it. But it's that sort of connection on not wanting to rely on that.
Yeah.
It's that assumption. This is all this is.
Yeah.
I don't think for a minute that's what they're dealing with here. But it's in terms of the public perception of it, that's what I'm worried about.
No, to be fair, I get that. Sort of the idea that we expect Batman to be this way, and yeah, it looks like they're doing it that way, which is brilliant, and fans will love it. But also, that's not what
But then if
Batman
it's a
is
really
just based on, which makes a lot of sense.
complex story, and
Yeah.
people are just not. It's no good.
It's not going to just
They just want
carry
it
it
to
on its
be.
own, is what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we've seen, like, it's not, especially say, it's as close to, it looks like as close as you're ever going to get to, like, R-rated, with it still being accessible and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I want it to be more than just, oh, why didn't they just make an R-rated film? Like,
Yeah.
because the obvious reason is they want more of an
Oh,
audience.
God, yeah.
But I want there to be more of a reason than that.
100%. James,
I'm worried about.
What are you worried about?
what are you worried
Oh,
about? This is worrying for us.
Are you dressed up like
Well, they best not bring the whole multiverse thing into it, eh? That's Christ. No, but seriously, the only thing that bothers me slightly is the. Oh god, yeah. Because we all know James loves a good multiverse at the minute.
Oh God.
You wait.
Sorry, James. Carry on.
The fact that there's like two villains in it always bothers me. Not seriously, bringing it back to Spider-Man, they always seem to chuck tons of villains into that, right?
Yeah.
There's always at least one film in every trilogy where they overdo it, and I think going out on the first bat is that I need to stop doing that.
I'm not even trying to say. You weren't there because it literally just didn't even make sense.
What's wrong? It's been a long day.
So, yeah, it has been long. It's going to get longer as well. A lot longer.
Yeah. Right. No. Yeah. Starting out on your first movie with the two villains, it's a bit like I don't know. I just want to say. I don't want it to take away
This
from
so
nothing.
far has been an absolute shambles of a point, may I just say. What was it first? Oh, two villains. Spider-Man. Ah, bats. No.
What did you take the piss out? Oh.
He's been thrown off completely.
Shall we go to Matt and then come back to you in a second?
No, because I'm just going to fumble through the rest of it.
Okay,
and
go on. Go on.
End on a high note. Yeah, two villains. I don't know if they're going to spend enough time on each one, sort of thing. I don't want it to take away from the Riddler thing, like Matt was saying, the whole mystery thing. I love all that.
Yeah.
So then dropping the Penguin in, is that going to give it all the gangster side to it all of a sudden? If they spend enough time on each one, fair enough. Because I mean, like I said, it's a long movie.
Yeah.
They've got chance to. It's just whether they deal with it in the right way.
That's a very valid point. I agree with that.
The Dark Knight is a perfect example of how you can work with two villains.
Yeah.
But there are films that do fail at that. So yeah, I guess it depends how much they want to use the Penguin as a villain,
That's what
or whether they're just going to sideline him, and whether either or is going to be good or
Just
not.
don't want one of them being in it for the sake of it. Just like, oh look,
Yeah.
look at this guy.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the biggest.
Do they not? Well, it's with Gotham, the TV series. They worked in unison quite a lot.
Right.
Penguin and the Riddler. So I'm hoping they follow that sort of.
Okay.
Not exactly the same as the Gotham TV series, but sort of follow that structure of them two actually working together and being sort of a partnership, because that'd make it a lot more
And
interesting.
especially then if the way
I completely
Batman interacts with them and the things that happen are quite separate.
Yeah.
But not that it turns out like they don't need a twist or anything, but lo and behold they're working together in some form. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Got there in the end.
We did.
There
That's
we
a
go.
good point. I really liked it.
Worth it.
Matt.
Mine, to be fair, it's quite hard for me to think of one, but normally I can list loads of reasons. Because of the trailer looks so good, I just found it really difficult. But because of the runtime, I don't mind slow burner films. I think some of them are great, have done well, like Dune and stuff like that. But I don't want it to be a boring,
You don't want it to be too slow.
uneventful slog of a film.
Yeah.
Is what I'm worried about. Say if say if the Riddler's not in it much and he's just leaving clues and Batman's just in the Batcave for most of the film. Yeah, that type of film worries me. But if they do it right, this film could be amazing. But if the runtime's wasted, it's gonna feel too long, and I don't want it to feel too long.
No, I like that.
Coming back to the trailer as well, like how packed that was
Yeah.
and the energy of that. If that was basically just showing you all of the action, you just think, oh okay.
Yeah. Well, how many trailers do you watch, and the trailers only incorporate the most tense parts,
It's
the most
all like
exciting parts? You think
The funny
Don't
bits, if
want
it's a
that,
comedy or
yeah.
something, it's like, oh, that's all the jokes.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think this is just
Yeah.
It's a
the
worry.
only thing
Yeah.
I could think of that would bog the film down for me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
weird to not be worried about something.
Yeah, but because we want, I think it's because we
Because
want
you
it
get-
to be so successful.
Yeah.
This is why it's good to talk about it, because the things we don't want to happen. Mine sort of ties into all of yours in a way, because it's a DC film, and because DC have been so average over the last few years, and the way in which they've wrote films and produced films, I don't want them to follow the same. I don't want it to follow the same sort of structured the other ones. I don't want there to be light-hearted comic relief, as DC and Marvel are trying to incorporate into all of the films. And they need to make sure that they use tension and suspense. Whether it be, even if it's not for it being a thriller, a drama, or a mystery film, they need it anyway, because that's what drives Batman forward, that mystery sort of solving crimes, what's going to happen next. You need to be on the edge of your seat for it. So I want them to do that. I don't want stupid, light-hearted comic relief. I don't want them to go, this is a DC film, let's try and incorporate the Flash and the Flashverse into it. I hope there's no talk of that at all.
There is no mention.
Good, because I don't want that, because it scares the life out of me. But yeah. Anything to add?
Not really.
I just, it's just generally it's just weird to not be that worried about something.
Yeah.
Like it's,
Yeah.
Because we're always in that sort of constantly getting thrown another movie, and it's like, yeah, okay, we know what to expect now. Whereas
Yeah.
with this, we don't actually.
Yeah.
So,
Pre-film, they've done everything right so far.
Yes,
Yes,
I
absolutely.
agree with that.
Hopefully they carry that through.
Yeah. The posters as well look bloody awesome.
Yeah.
I like the red that they've brought out in it as
Yeah.
well.
There's not much green for the Riddler, is there? It's
No.
more, there's sprinkles of it, but I feel like they're saving, because they haven't really shown what he looks like either, really. And I just feel like they're saving it all of it for the film.
Am I right in thinking that they didn't say Paul Dano was the actor for Riddler till very, very late? Was everyone else confirmed, or was it they all confirmed at the same time?
I'm not sure.
I don't know, possibly, because I know. But again, coming back to like Colin Farrell, I think he was mentioned really early out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on the first.
Because I think people had some big reactions to that.
Yeah. Right. That was a shorter video. Somehow. We hope it's been alright. It was quite difficult to get through, and we've sort of tried to condense our points into it to make it more accessible for you guys, and so that we're not rambling on and talking about waffle. So we hope it was alright. It's been extremely hard for me, I don't know about Tom and Matt, to sit next to James looking like this. How hot are you at the minute, James?
Well, it shouldn't be a
Oh, sorry, yeah. Completely.
You're right with that.
Yeah, sorry, I'm hallucinating, I think. Yeah. Can we get a Batman line from you to finish the video?
Which one do you want?
Any.
Clear your throat.
Please, throat. I want a proper Batman line.
I don't know. Oh, give me a like thing. Yeah, I've not watched any.
Vengeance or justice or
Where
shout
is
where's
she?
Rachel. Yeah, shout
Where's
where is
Rachel?
she? Where is she?
That good enough?
Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. I don't know if I need a poo. Oh, there's a sound clip.